Hi friends, welcome to Beautifully Bookish Bethany. Today's video is part of a series I've been doing where I'm recommending books I love that are retellings of classic literature. In today's video, I'm going to be recommending 9 books that are retelling a more random assortment of classic literature. I was able to group my other ones into videos, but this is kind of like all the other things that I think are great that didn't fit there. So if you missed the previous videos, the first one I talk about Shakespeare retellings, so you can go and check that out. In the second video, I talk about retellings of Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters. And today's video is going to be retellings that range from Dante's Inferno to The Great Gatsby to Little Women and beyond. That we've got a wide range of things. What they have in common is that they are all retellings of classic literature and they are all books that I loved. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's start with Dante's Inferno. This is a book that comes out in August and you may want to have it on your list to pre-order. This is Catabasus by R.F. Kuang. Her highly anticipated new book that is inspired by Dante's Inferno. It follows 2 graduate students who journey into hell trying to save the soul of their advisor so that they can graduate and finish their dissertations. This is an incredible book. I think it's her best work. It's my favorite of all of her books personally, and it is drawing on Dante's Inferno. It's drawing on other philosophical works, but if you haven't read any of those, I think it's still fairly accessible for readers to pick up. You may not get all the references, but if you're okay with that, you're still going to get the majority of the story, and it's so good. It's one of those things I can't say too much about because I don't want to spoil it, but it is set in an alternate version of our world where magic exists and there is academic study of magic, and the 2 students are kind of academic rivals. Alice is our main character. This is a book that does get into things like the treatment of women and female minorities in academia. It gets into covered up abuse of students and toxic work environments and the pressure that's placed on graduate students, but it's also considering different philosophies of the afterlife. What do those things mean? What are those possibilities? It's so good, y'all. It's absolutely incredible. Highly recommend. And she really nails the landing in this one. I think the ending is great. So starting strong with Catabasus, if you want a Dante's Inferno retelling, I think this is a great option. Next, I have 2 Great Gatsby retellings that are both doing some really interesting things. The copyright on Great Gatsby ran out a few years ago, and so we've been starting to get these retellings that are doing some fascinating things. First up is a book by one of my favorite authors. This is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Niveau. This is kind of a dreamlike fantasy retelling of The Great Gatsby from the perspective of Jordan Baker. Except in this story, Jordan Baker is a Vietnamese adoptee. The magic system is a little loosey-goosey, the vibe is very dreamlike, but I also feel like that fits for The Great Gatsby. The original has this sort of dreamlike quality to the writing, and this does as well. It's also queer, and I would say the original also has a lot of queer subtext to it, so I don't know that we're really going too off the rails with this one. But I love this. It is a fairly close retelling of the original with the added elements of magic and some of the differences in the character backstories, and also the clear attraction between Nick and Gatsby, which again, I do think the undercurrents exist in the original, but this makes it a little more explicit. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the other retelling I recommend is also queer, but in a different way. This is SelfMade Boys by Anna-Marie McLemore. This is part of the Remixed Classics series, which I've been mentioning in all of these videos. I love it. They are YA takes on classics written by authors with marginalized identities. Anna-Marie McLemore is Latina and genderqueer, and both of those things make their way into this book, which I think is kind of cool. So in this, Nick and Gatsby do have feelings for each other, but they're also both trans men. It adds a really interesting layer into the story, and it's getting at the existence and treatment of trans people throughout history and the ways that they managed to live and survive, the dangers they faced with potential discovery. I thought this was a great retelling and did some really interesting things. I actually have 3 other books from that same Remixed Classic series that I want to recommend, so let's go ahead and do those now. My Dear Henry by Kaylin Barron is So good. This is a Jekyll and Hyde retelling that is dealing with race and class in such a smart way. Our main character is a young black man who is trying to make something of himself in London and is dealing with racism. And there is also a queer element to this as well. So it's kind of the intersection of racism, homophobia, classism, and what those things looked like during that time period. What would it have been like to exist in that time as somebody with some of those intersections of identity, and then you throw in this Jekyll and Hyde element to it on top of it. It's beautifully written. There are callbacks to the original that I think are handled really well. If you like Jekyll and Hyde, I definitely do recommend picking this one up. I also really loved A Clash of Steel by C.B. Lee. This is a remix of Treasure Island with sapphic Asian characters. And what's super cool about this is it talks about in the author's note at the end that it's drawing on real history of this woman in Asia who was a female pirate queen. And so it's pulling on some of that history and putting it into this Treasure Island retelling with young Asian women main characters. This was so much fun. It's got the right amount of adventure. It's got great character work. I thought this was a blast and a really cool take on a Treasure Island story. And then the last one from the remixed classics that I want to recommend is So Many Beginnings by Bethany C. Morrow. This is a remix of Little Women, set actually in about the same time period as the original Little Women, so during and just after the Civil War, except this is following a Black family in the South. And I think it's really fascinating how just changing the race of the family really changes the dynamics of how a story like this works. She makes some other changes as well that I think are really smart. So the Beth character in this version has sickle cell. It's getting into some things that specifically affect people in Black communities, and it's really good. It's really smart. As somebody who loves the original Little Women, I liked the way that she tweaked some things and played homage to the original while also really making it something her own. I've got 3 more to go. First up, if you like a Sherlock Holmes and Watson dynamic, but you'd like to see it in space, you need to pick up this incredible series by Malka Older, the Massa and Pleedy series. The first book is The Mimicking of Known Successes. The third book is about to come out. These are short novels or novellas. They're not super long, but they're so good. They're set on a human colony on Jupiter, and the logistics of how that works with a gas giant is really fascinating. The way that that's set up, I think that part is cool from a sci-fi perspective, but we're following these 2 women characters that have kind of a Watson and Holmes dynamic who are solving different mysteries. So each short book is following them with a different mystery, and the Watson type character is an academic. I really love this series. I think they're incredible. So if you like a Sherlock Holmes story, you might want to check these out. Next, for a fantasy retelling of 1001 Nights, you could read The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. This is a little bit of a throwback, but I loved these back in the day. It's a duology, so there's just 2 books in the series, but this is like a YA romantasy before we had the term romantasy that is retelling the story of the 1001 Nights, but putting in more magic and political intrigue and romance, and I loved this. Honestly, I should go back and reread it. It's been a while since I read it, but I remember loving the series, and I thought it was a really interesting take on the original story. This is the thing, is I feel like there's a few series that could easily be repackaged now as romantasy and do really well, especially by her, like her vampire series that starts with The Beautiful. It like missed the boat by a few years, y'all. Now vampires and romantasy are a thing. They need to just like repackage those books and like sell them again because they're so good. But yeah, Wrath and the Dawn is a great retelling of a classic piece of literature. And lastly, for a little bit of horror mixed with feminist social commentary, we're gonna do a retelling of a classic that I already love, which is Frankenstein. This is The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kirsten White. I thought this was so good. So this is from the perspective of Victor Frankenstein's adoptive sister, and it is incredible. It is so well written. It is a really interesting take on the Frankenstein story that is really getting at the challenges that women faced, especially if they didn't have money, and the things that they had to do to survive and what they often went through. If you haven't picked this up, highly recommend it. It is so good. It came out like a while ago now. It's been a minute. 2018, so it's been a while, but this book was so good, y'all. I love it. It's spooky, it's smart, it's got commentary, it's feminist, it's great. There you go. Those are all of my recommendations of other random retellings of classic literature that I recommend. I might do another video in this series recommending things based on mythology. If that's something you would be interested in, let me know in the comments down below, because I feel like I could definitely do that as well. That'd be fun. There's lots of mythology retellings. But this was really fun to put together. If you reach this point in the video, leave me a book emoji in the comments down below, or tell me what is one of your favorite retellings or adaptations of classic literature. Are you interested in any of the books that I mentioned here? Have you read some of them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, it always helps if you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.